Hi, this is James Gordon Torlay here with a Talbot's video. I haven't done one in a while, and I had this idea kicking around in my head for quite some time, so I decided it's time to do it, and I gotta do more of these, as I enjoy doing them. They're a lot of fun. But anyway, for today's Talbot's video, I'll be talking about the top 15 bad books with good covers. So these are novels I've read that I did not enjoy, and despite how bad these books are, they, however, have really good book covers. Which I find a bit unfortunate, as I would rather have, good books with good covers, but hey, we can't like everything. But these books, I did not like them, but however, the only thing I think that the only good thing about them is that their cover work is really good. So I'm going to be talking about 15 bad books with good covers. So let's get started. All right. For my first book, Needle by Hal Clement, and this edition is from 1957 from Avon. Alright, in this cover we can see the main character being absorbed by the hunter. That is the green jellyfish-like alien. That's the good alien that enters inside the main character, which is a kind of like a teenager, and basically is in search of an alien criminal that's also hiding in the human body. Um, while this has an interesting concept, unfortunately, to me, I felt the story was not well executed, and it's just kind of boring. It just not a lot happens, and the giveaway when the alien and the main character figure out who the alien criminal is hiding in is the father, and the giveaway is that the father's been doing things dangerously, and this alien's been living in this boy's body for like 6 months to kind of understand the human history and stuff and how human behavior, and it's like that's the giveaway, really. And not much else happens, unfortunately, so it's really boring. But however, this cover is just gorgeous. It's very well illustrated. You got the green alien as it's like kind of glowing, its eyes, and the character here is just letting the thing absorb it. This is a really well drawn cover here. I actually thought this is from the 80s. This cover is from the 80s, but after looking up some editions on eBay and Amazon, the date I got was like 57 or 67 was another one. So I'm uncertain if this was 57 or 67, but for whatever year this cover is from, it's really well drawn. It's a really good cover. Okay, next, Video Kill by Joanna Fluke, and this edition's from 1989, published by Pocket Books. On this cover, you can see the guy watching on the multiple TV screens this woman who's been brutally murdered in the shower, similar to Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. It's probably the only brutal scene in the book, as most of the murders are really tamed in it, as the killer is copying the works of Alfred Hitchcock. So to me, again, this novel has a really interesting idea about a serial killer that kills his victims and then records it and then leaves like a copy for the police to find. I think that's a really interesting concept, but this was just not well executed, and yeah, so it's not a well executed book. However, this cover is just really good. I like the it's like this is like 80s. Like that's what I love about this cover. It's basically you got the one screenwriter wearing, like a leather jacket. He's got the multiple TV screens, and it's got each one's a close up of the murder victim. This is probably the only like part the one thing I really like about this cover, like to me this looks like something I would see like an 80s slasher film, and unfortunately the book does not deliver what I wanted it to be. Um, that's the unfortunate thing, is this cover is really well illustrated, and um, it's very well illustrated. Unfortunately, I wish the novel was better. It's just like this. The only good thing about this book is its cover, and I also like the cool font, the yellow font. It's kind of like future, kind of like very like sci-fi kind of looking font. Next, Blake House by Andorian Savage, and this was published by Pocket Books, and this is from 1990. Alright, in this cover you can see a hooded person wearing like a dark robe with a hood kind of obscuring their face, and above them is like a light bulb, and there's like this stone statue of like three heads. The middle one's got tusks, and the other two kind of look like dogs almost, or kind of like rodents. and you got like this really cool kind of like stone temple background with this cool font and stuff. This is the only thing I like about this book. It's got this really cool cover, but the story is just terrible. It basically has a bunch of unlikable characters. There's no one you really care for. The story is not well written, as I said in my review. To me, it's like the author kept adding all these subplots because he wasn't satisfied with what he was going with, and he kept changing the subplots to the point where it doesn't match what the story opening was, which in the beginning of Blake House was this all-female cult wants to overthrow the dominance of mankind so women can inherit the earth again, and after that scene the author throws that out the window and goes with a whole bunch of other subplots that do not fit with just don't work with the story, and it's a complete mess. And the author tries making up for this by having like this high amount of gore and violence, but it's not enough to save the shitty story, unfortunately. But the only good thing about this book is the cover. It's just such a well illustrated cover. That's the only good thing about it. The rest of the novel is just terrible. Alright, next, The Architect of Sleep by Stephen R. Boyd. This was published by Ace, and this is from 1986. On this cover, you can see a raccoon humanoid character attaching this metal claw blade to its arm. There's a bunch of stone houses in the background and palm trees, and on the back of this cover, it shows more of the stone houses with llamas pulling a cart, and that's basically on the back of the cover. But this captures what the story is like. Unfortunately, it's not a very good story. It's very boring, as the main character gets teleported to this other world, and when he gets teleported to this other world, the main character encounters these raccoon people, but unfortunately they don't speak English or any other language. They only communicate through grunts and sign language, which was not fun to read, as in the book there's these like big like spaces where words should be and stuff, and the whole entire book is just completely boring. It's like the day-to-day life of what the main character and this raccoon character, who he names Truck because he can't be bothered to ask what the raccoon's character's actual name is. He just says, I'm going to call you this, because I can't be bothered to ask you what your real name is. Which is unfortunate, because I think this could have been so much better. But the only good thing, as I said, is the cover. That's the only good thing I liked about the book. The rest of it, not so much. Alright, next, Nemesis by Isaac Asimov, and this was published by Bantam in 1990. On this cover, this is such a very beautiful painted cover. You got this spaceship, you got this like red dwarf sun that looks like it's crashing into on our planet. You can see like along where the impact, you see this like wall of fire, and there's another planet beside it, and you see space, and this is such a well-painted, illustrated cover. Unfortunately, the novel is just terrible. It's just this kind of like soap opera in space. It's just drama, characters arguing, yelling at each other, backstabbing. There's nothing good about this book. There's nothing exciting. It's boring. None of the characters are likable. And when I read this, I was really bored with it. I was like, this is just boring. Like, is this the best I could come up with this story? And it almost felt like I was like reading something similar to that horrible Christopher Nolan film I absolutely hate, Interstellar. That's what it just reminds me of. It's just that film that makes no goddamn sense, and this book has parts in it that didn't really make much sense, and it's just not well explained, just like that film as well. But this is not one of Asimov's best stories. It's unfortunate too, because it's got this gorgeous cover artwork, and to me, a cover like this should be on a good book, not a bad one. Okay, next, Flesh by Rich Raymond, and this was published by Virgin in 1987. Now, originally I had two editions, but I decided to go with the hardcover edition because I feel that's the better version. The paperback kind of eds out some details on the hardcover edition here. As you can see on this cover, you got a hand and you got like these like cracked fingernails, some blood. There's a finger that's been broken off, and wrapped around the arm is this snake-like creature. And in the background, you can see this like big old house. There's some like trees and the sun setting. This is such a beautiful painted cover. This is gorgeous. Unfortunately, this is not a good book. The basic plot of Flesh is basically this alien creature comes to Earth. We don't know how. It's never explained. It appears on Earth, and basically it goes inside people's bodies. It takes control of them, and it forces the person to kill others and consume their flesh. That's how it survives and stuff. And the longer this creature is inside a human body, the more like worse they look. And this is like such a great idea, but Richard Lehman did not, he didn't explain where this creature came from. I don't need like a whole backstory, just a simple explanation of where the creature came from. And the main character is not the sharpest tool in the shed. It makes constant mistakes. There's a subplot which was really annoying to read about this girl that wants to break off her boyfriend because she's embarrassed having sex with the first time they met, having like at a park. And reading these scenes was really annoying, and the subplot does not tie in towards the end of the book, which I thought really Lehman, this is the best you can come up with. And another thing that really bugged me with this novel is that most of the story takes place in this restaurant, and I was like, really, you can't pick any other places, Lehman, to have the story set in? You can't pick another location to have something happen? You gotta pick this restaurant constantly and keep having the characters going back there over and over and over again. It was just really annoying. And this is unfortunate because this is such a really cool cover, and I wish Flesh was a lot better. To me, it feels like the poor man's equivalent of the movie The Hidden, which is a shame too, because this is a really sick cover, and only the story was better. Alright, next, Dark Forces. This is a collection. This is an anthology collection of short horror stories published by Stammet, and this is editions from 1989. This is a really cool cover. You got like looks like the Grim Reaper or some like school character holding a scythe. It's like in gold. It's in gold. You got this like dark purple for the text to stand out on the gold font, and you got the black background with it. It's just a really cool cover, and you got some of the author names in gold as well. This is a really cool cover. Unfortunately, this horror anthology is terrible. The person who edited this thing, Kirby McCollum, like really had no idea what horror stories are, and picked the absolute worst stories I ever read. Like stories that weren't even scary, or others that just were not good. The only decent story was Stephen King's The Mist. That was like the only decent story of the horror anthology. The rest were just not good. And in fact, I was reading this during my October Terror last year, and this anthology was killing my mood for horror because that's how bad it was. It was just not a good horror anthology at all. And yet it was Clive Barker's inspiration for the Books of Blood. So I don't know how he was able to get inspired by a really just shitty anthology, but hey, at least something good came out of it. Unfortunately, I wish Dark Forces was better because I hear all this praise about it, and it's not that good in my opinion. And there's a bunch of other like editions I saw that have really bad covers, which I'll save for a future topless video of bad books with bad covers. But this is like the only good one out of them. Next, Crackdown by Bernard Cornwell. This was published by Spear in 1991. I remember when I first saw this cover, I was like, it really still stands out. You got this painting of like a boat, kind of got camouflage paint job on it, and then you got the top. You got a guy shooting like a heavy machine gun on a sailboat with a kind of like a small island across it. That's on the back of this paperback edition, and I was like, when I first saw this cover, I instantly reminded me of the first-person shooter game Far Cry. That's what it reminded me of, and then I read the synopsis, and it was like about this guy like taking on like like drug dealers in the Bahamas and stuff. I thought, ooh, this sounds really interesting. I read when I go to read the book, however, it was a complete bore. It's just like drama, characters arguing, yelling at each other. It's very boring. The main character doesn't know what to do half the time, and yet he's supposed to be this like like marine ex marine no, not ex marine ex Navy SEAL member, and he like hardly displays any of his skills. His girlfriend is annoying. I absolutely hated her, and yet these two characters are supposed to love each other, but it doesn't really feel like they really love each other. And there's a whole bunch of other shit that goes on in this book, but it was just really boring. I thought this really sucks. The cover is what sold me on it, and the whole story is just boring. It's just when I see a book with action on it, I that's what I'm expecting to get when I read it, not drama and all this other shit that's in it. It's a shame too, because this cover is really cool. However, the novel sucks. All right, next. University by Ben Little, published by Stigma, and this is from 1994. It was originally published in 93 under the title Night School. This was the first Ben Little book that I've actually completed, and this will be the last, as I really don't like this author. I just really don't like his novels and stuff. They just don't so well written and stuff, and this book by him left a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm just not interested in reading another book by him because I'm not interested in again, that same awful taste in my mouth again after reading this shitty book. Now, the cover, you got this, like, university, the lights are all glowing, and there's, like, a evil presence on it, and you got, like, purple and pink and light in the background. You got, like, dead trees, and it's really cool. Unfortunately, this book is just awful. It's one of the absolute worst books I've read. The cover makes it look like you're gonna read something about like a haunted university or some like evil cult that's practicing black magic at a university. However, you don't get any of that. All you get is instead is that this university is alive and it's evil because of the library. Yes, that's in the book. And this causes people to do basically despicable things, from being rude and ignorant, racist, to abusing and beating people, and then straight up murdering them. The death scenes are absolutely terrible because these are the deaths happen to good people, and these are characters that suffered like the worst deaths. And there's a lot of like really disgusting scenes in the book that made me cringe. And this book is just absolutely terrible. It's like one of the stupidest things I ever read, and and all this praise for this book, I felt, what do people see in this? This book is terrible. The only good thing about it is this cover. Like, the cover looks great. The rest of the story is complete shit. It's not worth reading. Okay, next, The Feast by Grant Masterton. This was published by Pinnacle, and this is from 1988. Alright, on this cover you can see is a skull with the one eye socket glowing green, and then the other you see like a teenager tied up with rope and stuff, and this has a really cool die cut inside where when you open the book you see the teenager along with a bunch of other children. They're being cooked alive in this like big cauldron. You got like a devil face on it. And you got these skeletons that are laughing as they cook the children inside the cauldron. Like, this is a really sick cover. Oh yeah, and the inside, the tagline is, "Their hunger for the children was insatiable." Like, this cover to me is really cool. I love the die cut in it. Unfortunately, this novel just sucks. The plot basically follows this father character who's like he writes reviews for restaurants and stuff, and he's bringing his son with him who's trying to prepare his relationship after a messy divorce with his wife. And the son is just annoyed that his father just seems more interested in work rather than actually spending father and son time together, because they're constantly going to all these restaurants for his like magazine articles he writes for. So then the father and son, they go to this town, and there's this restaurant which the father wants to get into. It's like some like high class restaurant in the middle of nowhere, and this is where the son snaps the father. They have an argument, and then the father leaves the son the hotel and he goes to a bar, and then there's this one that seduces him, and then when he wakes up, he finds his son is missing, and no one in town saw him. In fact, they deny that he even came with a son to begin with. It was just him. And the woman uh, 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 even says himself that says to him, "No, you came to this town by yourself. You had no son with you." And the police are not helpful, so the father decides to investigate, and he uncovers this plot where basically this town, they basically capture like outsiders, and they cook them and stuff. And to me, this is where the book just it's this is where the whole story just falls flat. It has the idea of like, okay, a cannibal restaurant that serves like human flesh to people. Okay, that's an interesting idea. And there's a cult behind it, but why would you place the restaurant in the middle of nowhere? It would make more sense if it was like in a big city or something. And yet it takes place in this town in the middle of nowhere, and it's just not really good. And the main character is this self-centered asshole. I don't like him, and he's just the story just it was like a snail's pace. Like it took forever to get going, and then there's this other thing that's in the story where there's like this group of people that eat themselves, and I really didn't like that. And overall, I just found the book boring. It was not what I thought it was going to be, and I thought this sucks. Like this has a really sharp, cool cover on it, but the whole story is complete boring, unfortunately. Okay, next, Razorback from Peter Berner, and this is published by Fonta in 1982. Alright, on this cover you can see this angry, ferocious, wild pig, which is called a razorback in Australia, and it's got these long tusks, there's blood. It's this when you see this creature, it just looks pissed off. Is what you see, and then you got this cool yellow and red font above it, which really helps it stand out. And this looks like this thing is ferocious. It can basically kill anyone, and it will have like no problem killing anyone that gets in its way. Unfortunately, this book is very similar to Jaws, where basically you got this killer animal, but that's the subplot. The main plot of this of Razorback is basically about corruption. This pet food company that's smuggling diamonds to Hong Kong, and then you got this other subplot of an animal activist that's trying to bring awareness to Australia about kangaroo hunting, and she's of course this despicable character that I really didn't care for, and then she gets of course murdered. She basically just goes um, into danger. To basically she deliberately goes to this dangerous place, and surprisingly does it gets herself killed, and she was like asking for it and thinking it's gonna like make her this like big time like celebrity or something to blow the whistle on like animal cruelty and stuff, and it's costing her life. And then her husband comes in trying to figure out who murdered her, and then gets involved with the whole subplot, and it's just so boring. I was like, there is very little scenes of this Razorback just wreaking havoc and destruction and killing people. I was so bored with this book. I thought this really sucks. You got this really cool cover, and even there's a new edition with a hardcover edition. It has a really cool cover, but the book is just boring as hell. It's just like Jaws. Like the same thing. You got this killer shark that's on the loose, and it's like wreaking havoc and killing people at the beaches. Yet the book follows more of the main character dealing with corruption in his town, and the mayor's got ties to the mob and is trying to keep the beach open so that way he can make money, of course, and blackmails the main character to keep the beaches open. Then another subplot of the main character discovers that his wife is having an affair on him with the shark expert. And it's just this is terrible. This is not how you do a killer animal story. Have the plot focus on the animal, not some other stupid subplots about corruption and stuff. That's not what I want here for. If an author feels like writing corruption, then go write a crime novel. No, don't mix it with a killer animal book. They don't mix well at all. It just makes it a boring story. Okay, the next book is another novel by Graham Esterton, The Hell Candidate. This was published by Severn House Pub in 1989. This is the hardcover edition of The Hell Candidate, and on the cover you got a ram's head on a golden bowl with blood, and there's these black candles, and you got two American flags next to the like in the background. There's like a black background, and then there's a devil's star like just scratched into the president's desk. This is a really cool looking cover. Unfortunately, this book is very boring. So the idea is basically that this it follows this legislator who's working with a becoming president candidate Pearl Hunter, who's actually the devil and basically is using his powers to persuade people to get elected as president. And a bunch of supernatural things happen, and there's this one really cool scene where the main character witnesses the Hunter Pearl transform into like this wolf demon with like this big muscular wolf demon with glowing red eyes and has two cocks. And that was like probably the best scene in the whole book. The rest of it was complete bore, as hardly anything else happens. It's very slow, and I'm expecting, hell on earth, essentially, some chaos to happen, right? No, that doesn't happen. Instead, the main character goes to some priest who makes a phone call to the Catholic Church in Italy and gets the Pope to do an exorcism on Hunter Pearl to drive the devil back. And I was so disappointed with this book. I thought, really, the devil loses to the Pope in this like duel? Like, this sucks. It's really unfortunate because I really like the idea of it. Unfortunately, just nothing really much happens. It's just a lot of characters are killed off on screen. You hear about like tragic, all these deaths that happen like off screen, and I want to see more carnage happening within the story, and I got none of that. This was a real disappointment. I did not have the hardcover edition. It's very pricey. I had a paperback edition with a decent cover. This hardcover though, I like a lot better. It's unfortunate too because this novel sucks. Next, The Night of Power by Spider Robinson. This was published by Berkley, and this is from 1986. Alright, in this cover you can see you got three gang members standing on the Brooklyn Bridge. There's a wrecked car behind them. There's fire. You can see the streets, like you can see in the background the city of New York. It's in darkness. And the gang members, one's holding like a soft shotgun. He's got a mohawk. And then the guy on his left is like wearing like a hockey mask with a big axe. And then the guy on his right is a guy wearing like a kind of leather jacket, and he's got a mace. The mace. He's got a mace with basically the chain on the spike ball. This is a really cool cover, and I also like the red font. I really like the red text. It's really I really like that. Unfortunately, this book just this book was so boring, and this is again just one of those drama novels where hardly anything happens. Just mostly characters argue with each other. Um, and you don't get to see much chaos or action in this book. The author focuses mostly on the father and daughter character, what they're going through, and you only hear what's going on from other characters that tell the daughter or father character what's happening. That's it. You don't get to see any like carnage or destruction or rioting. You don't get any of that. You see a little bits of action in the novel, and that's it. This entire novel is complete bore, and I thought, what a waste! Like such a sick looking cover, and only to have like a really just a not well executed story. Because I like the idea how it's set in this alternate future where basically this like militia group has formed this gang, and they're gonna overthrow um like the law and stuff to take over. Like that is, I thought that's really cool. Unfortunately, you don't get to see any of that. It's kind of like the war. It's kind of like the one scene in the Warriors where the leader of the Rifts wants all gangs to hold a truce so they can overthrow the law and take the city for themselves. And to me, this novel reminds me of that. It was like, what if Cyrus was assassinated, and instead the whole movie was about the gangs like fighting the law and stuff, and just causing havoc and destruction and taking over the city of New York for themselves. To me, that's what this novel should have been like. Unfortunately, it's not. It's a real shame too, because this is a sick cover and the book sucks. All right. Okay. Next, Sand Trap by Caroline B. Coney. This is published by Avon in 1983. On this cover, you can see a woman running on a golf course. It's at night, and there's a sand trap, which it kind of looks like a skull. Basically, this is kind of like a thriller, like a horror thriller novel, and it kind of sounds like something that Richard Lehman would have wrote. It just makes me think of the way his stories are. It's what it kind of reminds me of this one, where basically this attractive woman is leaving her job. She works in the mall, and she's driving alongside this like long, empty road in North Carolina. And she happens to witness a guy getting murdered on the road, and the person who killed the other person, who's like this like big time hunting enthusiast who has had trouble with the law and has actually nearly been caught twice for supposedly murdering two other people, which he claims was a hunting accident. And after having an argument with this guy, he kills this person in a fit of rage after his truck gets stuck in on the side of the road after trying to hunt a deer. So he chases after the main character, and basically it's like during like I forget if it was rainy or not, but basically he rams her car off the road. Basically, she's able to run onto this golf course, and basically he's being hunted by this guy. This sounds like a really good idea. Unfortunately, every time that something would happen, the novel would cut to a flashback of the main character who's looking after a husband who was injured in the Vietnam War, and basically was they're like part of some religious group, and they've been cast out because of the wife's husband took part in the war, and something happened to, I believe they lost a son or something, and they were blamed for it. And so the husband is in his wheelchair, and he's like worrying where his wife is, which apparently their house is close by to the golf course. And every time that something would happen, the book would cut to a flashback, and then it would go right back to the action. And it was really annoying just having to read that. And while the detailed description of the golf course I thought was good, I felt it could have been better, and I was just really annoyed of like the main character just whining a lot and just complaining, and the rest of the book was just so boring. I wish it was better. It was just, to me, a good idea, just not well executed. And and it's unfortunate because this cover does capture what the story is going for. If only if it could have been better. All right, and the last book cover we'll be looking at today, "The City" by Richard Haig, published by Grafton in 1986. This is a sequel to the novel The Farm. All right. On this cover, you can see a red-eyed, bloodthirsty pig that is devouring a person. Below, there's a full. You can look online and find a full image of the cover of this like pig eating like this corpse, and there's like if I recall, a bunch of other dead bodies and stuff. So the plot of this basically is that it's about this book series is about these like killer farm animals that basically are sent to this stadium for some big farm event, and just like Razorback and Jaws is the same issue I have. You have these killer animals, but the story doesn't focus on them. It just focuses on these stupid side plots. They're completely boring, a bunch of unlikable characters, and that's what the author focuses on too much. You got a racist bigot, a security guard who wants to kill these animal protesters outside. You got a a hungry journalist that wants to get in on this event to get some big story out so they can get their name out there, and a whole bunch of other not likable characters, and the whole book is boring. There's very little carnage and mayhem happening of the animals and stuff, and it's oh, this sucks. You got this sick cover artwork with a really cool idea, but the whole story is just not well executed, unfortunately. And this Arthur, who's this is a pen name by uh, James Alexander, who is the guy that wrote for the Deathlands series. Apparently, he planned a third book in the series. Unfortunately, he died before he could finish completing it, and I don't think that manuscript's ever going to be completed. But I don't think it would matter because a friend of mine has told me that the farm is again kind of the same thing where it's on this farm. Here's a bunch of characters, not likable. There's a lot of drama in the story, and then towards the end, the author finally has all the animals killing people, and then that's it. So you expect for a sequel he would make up for it. Unfortunately, he does not. That'll be a lesson to all you horror writers out there. If you want to do a story about a killer animal, focus on the animal, less on the human characters. The reader wants to see carnage and mayhem and destruction, not drama and a bunch of unlikable assholes to read about. Alright, that's it for the video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will definitely do more topless videos in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, and please don't forget to subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel, and the Facebook group of the same name. And please support Review Fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.